Okay, here we go. That sound all right? There we go. Okay. Oh, I'm sat in an awkward position today. Okie doke, sleeping. Okay. Mr. Lion, good morning. Hope you are well. Oh dear. I'm convinced I've never actually grown up. Right now I'm like, I don't want to program. I want to go play games. Um, I spent some time. I did the adult things. I did the whole feeding people and driving to pick up child and whatnot yesterday. And I had my nice new steering racing wheel sat there in the box. I put it off uh, and I unpacked it while I was chatting with Mojo and stuff for a bit last night. And then I'm like, sat down, watched TV with family, ate meal. I'm like, I'll go play. So at about 11 o'clock last night, I finally got it all set up and spent the next hour and a bit driving in that. And I want to play with my new toy now. And oh, it was quite fascinating. Going from a cheaper wheel to that is quite the upgrade in terms of just pure power. Like a genius, I turned the force feedback up and almost ripped my arms off. That's not even an expensive wheel comparatively. So yeah, gonna have some fun with that this weekend. See if I can get a stream sorted out and share my failings as a race driver with the whole wide world. But for today, I want to see if I can figure out what deployment means in terms of Aspire. So this stream may go to absolutely 0. It may actually it may actually yield a useful result. So I consider success to be I have the API and the both APIs and the web app deployed as services. And I have a database configured. So I'm going to use, I do not want to host a database in Azure as well. I'm going to use Neon, I believe, is the one I looked at. Yes, they offer a free tier database, which apparently is already using 30 meg. And that's what I would like to do. So Neon offer a dev and prod database thing. So that's cool. I set them up the other day because I was trying to figure out some of this stuff. And yeah, so the goal is very much to learn what it means to do deployment with Aspire. This will either well, do one of a few things. I will either dox myself because I will show something on Azure portal that I shouldn't do. I will confirm my fears about Aspire, that it's an ecosystem that you can't easily get out of, and it's hard to program your way out. Once you're kind of hooked into it, it's kind of their way. Or I will be way happier with the way Aspire works and become a fan of it for everything. Dota, good morning. How are you doing? You okay, Taylor? Come lay down. Come on. No. Thinking didn't sleep well. Feeling tired. Yeah. So gotta get rest. Fun fact. So since I've been using the sleep apnea machine, I get fewer muscle aches when I wake up in the morning. I wake up easier. I mean, partially because I've got a gale force wind blowing in my mouth, so that helps you wake up. Nice, congrats. That is awesome. It's a hard battle, right? So yeah, but yeah, I wake up easier. I have fewer muscle issues in the morning, and I am feeling a lot less tired. So yeah, it's not exercise so far. Yeah, it's diet, right? I need to. I've been trying to lower my intake a lot more, especially now going back to karate. I need to drink more water, eat less. So I've had some toast and some Cheerios for breakfast, and that'll be it now until later this afternoon. So yeah, yeah, the carbs are the challenge. Yeah, but I need something, and it's either that or uh, fats, which aren't any better for me when I'm going to sit here all day, right? So yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'm not trying to make this. Yeah, you want help with that? Check out BellyFit. BellyFit does allow you to track food, exercise, all of that. And yeah, can I eat this? Nice. Um, I had a colleague once who wrote an app similar to that, but for plants. So he could point it at a plant and basically it was like, will this kill me if I eat it? And he was doing this ooh, 15 years ago now. Hi, maybe. Hello. Oh, someone else streaming my stream on your stream. This is fun. Okay. I'll keep it just between us. It's fine. Our secret. So, we're just talking about tracking food. We're talking about that. So, BellyFit is a great app for helping you track your food and your exercise, and yeah, tells about how much protein is in the food and tells me if I can eat it. Fair enough. So, okay, what's it doing? .NET Aspire deployment to Azure. So I'm going to go with Azure because I've got a feeling that it's going to be a little bit simpler to do this. Now, what I'm suspecting is now, a few things. I really feel they need to introduce deployment profiles. If they're going to make it a deployment tool, I think they need to make a profile for development and now maybe they do this, right? So as we go, maybe that'll check that off. But so I'm looking for that, I suppose. I'm looking for the ability to say this is a development build and this is a deployment profile, because I don't want to use this in my deployment. I don't want to deploy my database to them, and I think that's going to be a pain point, right? So I'm going in skeptical, but I'm hoping and I'm going to look to be proven wrong. I think it's going to be an all or nothing, and that's a problem because I do not want to have a Azure hosted DB, because the resources I get are far less than the free resources I'm going to get somewhere else. So you should definitely build that app though, to that. Commit, do it. Doesn't matter if it exists or whatever. Do it, build it. So yeah, I think this is going to be a challenge. Gotta keep that energy up. And work is not going to give you the chance to stretch your legs as much, no matter what you do. Smirking, hello, how you doing? So yeah, we're gonna see if we can do this, because I think it's going to be a challenge. Azure Developer CLI. So I'm going to do that. Your work projects, no matter how good they are never going to give you the chance to stretch your legs, because they're always focused on the problems they need to solve. And they might be challenging, but if you want to do technologies outside of that, side projects are your only way. I don't call it shots at work, and I probably shouldn't be allowed to. I don't think most developers should be allowed to, but yeah. Again, one of the skills developers need to learn is the whole working with the business. But I think it's to that point, right? It's not anything. I think leaving those decisions in developers' hands. The analysis part, you need the analyst component of the development cycle, right? You need to understand what the business needs, what the business wants, how much effort it costs to put something in there, how much effort it costs to maintain that thing, and balance those things. Technology is cool. We can solve all sorts of problems, but yeah. What am I working on? Okay, so today I am working on developers.stream. Developers.stream is currently a very poor looking website, but what I'm trying to do is deploy a version that allows me to provide a few more features, such as the ability for streamers to log in. The concept is, if you are a developer who streams, helping you promote to the wider audience. So I'm trying to use .NET Aspire, and I've not used it for deployment, and I'm going to see if what I need to change here. If I can deploy this, can I deploy it with a database where the database does not exist in Azure? It exists externally. What does that look like? Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to learn, and I'm hoping to not be proven right about my suspicions about Aspire. I think Aspire is kind of an ecosystem that would be very hard to get out of. Ah, that's why the dogs aren't here. I'll be right back. I'm going to rescue the dogs so I don't have to worry about them being out. Right back.
My apologies for that. Taylor does not want to play the game today. Where are you deploying to? ACA app service Kubernetes. So I'm thinking app service. Cloud stuff is not normally my realm, so I'm going to learn a little bit on the fly here. Kubernetes, no, because Kubernetes requires setting up a cluster, and that is too expensive. I will cover the cost of this for app services, which I expect to not be too expensive, but we'll see. However, we'll have to cover that as we go. But I got to figure this out first, right? So, what does it mean to deploy to Aspire from Aspire to Azure? What is it? So, ACA deployment. Hey, Frank. Good morning. Now, I tried to set up in a resource group the other day an app service to try and see if I could deploy something, and it told me I was over my quota on a pay-as-you-go, which is interesting. Yeah. If you want to actually know how to do this sort of stuff, Frank is an expert in this stuff. I would highly recommend going following Frank. Also a fantastic stream. Really nice and chill and friendly and engaging. .NET Run project, CS project, output path, manifest, publisher, manifest. So that's the individual application. The manifest file is interrogated by AZD provision to generate bicep files. After generating the bicep files, the deployment is triggered using Azure's ARM APIs targeting the subscription. Earlier. Where's earlier? When did I say? Okay, so .NET Run project. Okay, so initialize the template. Now, do you do this at a solution level or a project level? Provision and deploy. So there's the new Aspire app. Oh, so we're going to the app host. Sorry, yeah. The app host is the project which will trigger the deployment. Now, so Frank, you might be able to answer this one. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I think that what Aspire needs is kind of profiles, because when I deploy this, I don't want to use a Postgre database hosted inside of Azure. I want to use something like Neon. But when I'm developing locally, I don't care about Neon. I don't want to be using cloud resources to do that. Is there a concept of profiles yet? Do you know? And obviously, I understand it's early in your morning as well. I'm not trying to drag you into that. But if you have the ability to answer. So, okay. Gotcha. Because I think that there's a need for development versus deployment profiles. Because the deployment and the development, like, again, these sorts of resources, yeah, there is in AZD, however. Gotcha. Yeah. You can prioritize your Postgres target in the AZD configuration. First time doing this. So I normally don't do this sort of stuff on stream because I feel very self-conscious of this stuff. I feel like I'm out of my depth and I'm likely to show something that I shouldn't show. It's not that I don't feel that I can't learn it. It's just I don't normally like to do this on stream, but I figure this project is open source. I intend it to be a community project. If I can't tackle deploying it, then what right do I have to say, hey, here's how you use it? So, because I would like to be able to say, hey, if you want to deploy this application to a cloud, you can do. Open the terminal and see into the directory of your .NET Aspire solution. .NET Aspire solution or project? So that creates an Aspire sample, but in the solution. Okay, so I've installed AZD. So cd dev, where is this? Oh, look at me being projects. I'm on a terminal on a window below. Okay. I don't know why I've got system net sockets there. Okay, so according to that doc, AZD in the solution. Okay. cd dev. So select use code in the current directory. This will be interesting. It's all nested underneath different directories. But yeah, so normally I wouldn't do this on stream. I don't like risking showing stuff that I'm not fully aware of. It's not that I've not touched cloud stuff, but I've not worked with cloud stuff. Throughout my career, I spent most of my time developing and deploying applications to local servers, and when it has been cloud, the options have been taken away, right? So I don't do the deployment. Other people deal with that. So professional exposure to the cloud stuff has actually been limited. Okay, so confirming. So it found the app host. Confirm and continue. Enter unique environment name. Okay, prod. Hi, Mojo. Since last day, I believe the ISC is creating memory to see it. You have to do AZD infragen. Yeah. Run AZD infragen. Thank you very much. And there you go. There's our files. Oof. I plan config exciting times. Nope. So, how do I make it not use? So now I've got to learn how to remove the PostgreSQL parts and not auto-generate them ever again, but use them for development. I don't want, I'm not deploying. So this does everything as containerized apps. Okay. I do not want a containerized Postgres server. So API, web. So it's got the two APIs in the UI, and then Postgre, and the migration service, which should finish and quickly. If you need Postgre, if so, once the IOC fails to generate, that's what will be used when deploying. If you edit them, you'll solve your problem. Right. I've now got to learn how to rip things out of this. Now, containerized apps, what's the cost of them? Like, what's it creating here? Yeah. So moving away from app service to containerized applications. Okay, I get that. But what is, how do I cost that out? I've never looked at the bicep stuff before, so. No, this is to deploy it. I want to replace that with this. So what does this count as? Is it Azure container instances? Azure container apps. There we go. Depending on the traffic, 10 to 20 a month. Canadian dollars cheaper than you. $3.20. When you deploy it, it'll give you the budget. So hold on. So even if I deployed the Postgre database this way, that's 4 container apps. Or 5 container apps. And the one is going to start and finish immediately. Let's just try it. It's the worst app as a delete it all. Use AZD up to provision your infrastructure. Run AZD pipeline config to configure the deployment pipeline. But yeah, there's not going to be a request to this, right? It's a service that's going to start and then finish. What was added? Infrastructure. So that gives me. Let's see what happens. Like that. I click on login. It says, feel free to close this when you want. Okay. So yeah, the intent is to run this site in replacement of this one, right? So that people can log in and do that stuff. Pay as you go. There's going to be some secrets I need to configure. This is not going to work. US East 2. Don't show the files in .azure config. Okay. Thank you. And that's why I don't do this stuff on stream. Actually, let me put this back to where I normally have the window. I'll put it back to my normal place. So unless there's something relevant on the terminal, I will not show it again. Hey Gory, how you doing? Good morning. I'm trying. This intimidates me. Again, for whatever reason, cloud is something I've tinkered with, I've touched, but I've never done in a professional environment because it's always been handled for me, and it scares me. If I'm honest, that I could just break something. I have run up massive bills before through leaving Cosmo DB enabled. Yeah, pipeline config will be secret. Now there's the problem. Pipeline is the scary part because I'm hooking this up to. Well, I suppose developer. I still have just because developers.stream is a public repo, it can still be hooked up to this stuff. Well, that's what it says, like configure it afterwards. So, hold on. Gotcha. And that's why it's helpful to have someone who knows what they're doing, walk you through this stuff. And it's practice, right? If I practice this, if I do this and go through this, I'm fine. But I've got to get to that practice, and I can't run up a massive bill. I don't want to have to sell my new toys.
What was I doing there? Oh, string generator. Generate. Yes, I would love to do that. I'd actually like to talk to you about this stuff in general at some point as well. Because Liquid Sky, obviously, I'm not planning on deploying it to anytime soon. I actually looked at like what bringing up Kubernetes hosts in the cloud looks like, and that isn't cheap. But so one thing that I'm going into this with some not necessarily even reservations, but some how do I put it? I suppose some assumptions about how it's going to work and what I like and don't like. Like, I do not like this personally, right? So the pipeline stuff is the thing that I want to get to quickly. I do not like the idea, and that's what scares me the most about Aspire, is this concept that from my machine I'm doing the deployment. I've never liked right-click publish. Maybe that's because of a lot of early problems through developers. Well, it doesn't do that on my machine. Did you update? Did you do this? Did you do that? I don't like the idea of right-click deployment for a production application. So, and that's what's been shown. Now the CI/CD stuff, yeah, I that's good. But do you need to go through this part? So I'm trying to make sure that I am getting over my I can't biases, not necessarily biases, but fears, I suppose, at the same time, and making sure that I'm discounting some of those because I don't want to be that grumpy dev that's like, oh, that's never going to happen. You shouldn't do that. Yeah. Well, again, the initial deployment, but in an organization, I'm not allowed to do this. In my work, I could not do this. I am not allowed, and I'm, a management level developer. I'm not allowed access to these resources in production, or even development. I'm not allowed. So, even pipelines, I'm not allowed to set them up. So, how do I talk someone through this? How do I demonstrate this? Right, those are the sort of challenges you get to. I'm watching it, by the way, running on the bottom of the screen, so that's why I'm chatting and not doing anything. Morning, Rambling Geek. Or afternoon. How are you doing? Hope you are well. Okay. Sometimes that's good. So yes. So yesterday, I'm going to divert back to my toys from earlier. I got my new racing wheel set up. I got into Gran Turismo last night, and I almost ripped my arms off because I was not ready for that amount of force feedback. When I hit a car, I thought I'd actually hit a car because the feedback was insanely accurate. Not that I've hit many cars, but I've had a bump or two. So I know what that feels like in the hands. And yeah. I'm glad I wasn't paying for that Ferrari. But so I was watching a streamer yesterday, or a video, and he says, okay, here's what you do. You set the force feedback up to maximum and the sensitivity down to the minimum. I was like, okay, I'll try that. And I could not hold the wheel. It's like ridiculous.
And I was worried that the seat I've got, because I can't sit it up properly because I'm slightly big, and it bottoms out if I try it. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for the guidance. Appreciate it. I'll catch you later. I will let you know how this goes, and we'll have to set up a collab. Definitely, I would love to go through some more cloud stuff. I'll have to get that figured out. So yeah, and I'm waffling because I'm waiting for this to go through. So right now it's on creating and updating resources. I should probably log into my portal and make sure I know what I'm seeing there. But yeah, so going from a Logitech, a little Logitech wheel, to this Fanatec wheel is quite fascinating. Okay, so this is created RG Prod, so that's something to remember. The name of it is going to not be very obvious. It's create a container registry, a container apps environment. Yeah, cost management, budgets. Deploying services, service API, updating application. So now we're deploying the containers. So again, I'm nervous to show very much on stream as far as my dashboard goes, because I do not want to show stuff that I shouldn't do. Resource, yeah. So look at the resource group, the container registry, the container apps environment. So the container apps environment shows that. Yeah. I'll see. Now the Postgre database is going in there. Oh, and a failure. Shouldn't the tool that generated the file have gone, no, that's invalid? Wouldn't that have been helpful? Like, And which part is it? That there? A name must consist of lowercase alphanumeric characters, or because that's not valid in the other side, so that's why it was called Streamer API. Streamer API. I mean, Aspire, no. I mean, it's the deployment part that's going to cost, right? Yeah. So, Aspire as a local tool is great, but this is my first time trying to deploy with it. So far as the build of it goes, these are standard bicep files, I assume, or standard configuration files. So this is basically like Pulumi right this second. I've just had it generate the stuff for me, right? Wouldn't surprise me since Azure Cloud is very targeted at big business. Well, okay, so
I do worry about the ecosystem. I worry that Microsoft supports it, which means that it will be very much very friendly if you're using Azure, but if you want to use different clouds, that's a challenge. Um, yeah, so we'll see. It's deploying migration again. Oh, no, it's updating the application for the. It's also technically cloud agnostic. Deploying to Azure is just easy. Well, I know it's cloud agnostic. It's the fact that is anybody else supporting it in the same way? Is it as smooth? I do know from some experience that using even the app host with AWS stuff is not quite as smooth as using it with the Azure stuff. There's a lot of local stuff. Invalid container appnet. Where the hell? Okay, we're gonna find. It's not there. Not there. It's not there. Saved it. Might be worth trying that Kubernetes publish. I'm not bringing up a Kubernetes cluster in Azure. Oh, you mean trying to see if it'll publish to my Kubernetes? Yeah, I still think there's a need to introduce profiles. Like, because locally, yeah, I'd like to deploy it to Kubernetes, but then when I publish it, container apps is fine. Same thing for Liquid Sky. Right now, the way I'm looking at this, I can see them all being container apps. And at $3, whatever, a month for 10 million requests, Liquid Sky, if I could get Kafka and stuff hosted outside, would be decent. So this is kind of a good trial for that. Like I'm happy if I can get, so if developer stream goes up and it costs 20 or $30 a month to run, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. Starts costing more, I'm gonna have to think about hosting it, right? Um Liquid Sky, if I put that up and it costs $250, $300 a month to have just up. So yeah. Well, it's support. I don't see how they can promise. I mean, their tooling is cloud agnostic, right? You can develop, but you need the people who publish that cloud to do the parts to make it actually work, and that's where the challenge is. It's compatible with anything it needs to be compatible with. So their stuff is technically cloud agnostic. They're not focused on any specific cloud. It's the people who write the code to build those components out, because everything just adds on to the core. So Uh, I don't know. It depends on how you want to deploy it, right? Again, this one is very right now focused on Azure. Clearly, there's a lot of specifics about Azure groups and stuff like that, and it deploys to the Azure containers and stuff. So I'm just trying to find this Streamer API thing. It's still erroring on the same thing. Um, Unless it's the name. App host infra. Let's try that. It hasn't deployed anything yet, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. Uh-oh. So it does have the concept of services and apps. Huh. Being on AWS with Terraform and being like, okay, we'll just migrate to Azure and swap our Terraform over. I'm not sure Terraform is doing much lifting in that proposal. But the ability to write the Terraform scripts out is streaming mode. Come on. I do not know why streaming mode doesn't automatically start when OBS starts up now. It's annoying me. So yeah, I mean, you create the Terraform scripts to do the same thing. So you're balancing your resources to the platform. So, but you can use Terraform tools to do the same thing. It will, you can get those deployments working. That's the key. It's not necessarily that it just goes, oh, A to B to B. I think, unless that's the way we're meant to think about it. See, deploying service streamer API. Did that just do a build? Invalid container app name. So where's it getting streamer API from? Check your registry. Registry. What do you mean by registry? The container app registry in the it hasn't pushed any images. It created a container registry, but it hasn't pushed anything to it. Also, it's not running Postgre in a container. It's failing. That's the only mention, but it's not using this. So now that's an interesting point. Okay, so let's do. So which is container, like that. Postgre doesn't have the option to publish as Docker, when it's published as container. This has published as Docker. Yeah, just checking that the chain of API was intact there. Now, how do I make those updates? Okay, before I do that, let's do this. Stream API. Although I think that's invalid for Aspire, isn't it? I think that's invalid for Aspire. I think Aspire's going to hold it. I think I've done that before. One of them, there's one that I thought would work, and it trips me up. That's probably why I end up with Streamer API. I think that causes a problem, or did cause a problem. So again, if you are new to stream, if you are interested in knowing more about what I'm doing, the software, not the failed deployments of to Azure, you are more than welcome to ask if you have opinions on what I'm doing. If you think I'm doing something wrong, please share. I want to learn. I do not want to sit here thinking I've done everything correct. Well, so here's the fun part as well. So I had my PC on. So again, I was talking about stream yesterday. I had my PC on and didn't think about it and turned the sim rig on and went into a race and it activated the force feedback and boom, out go the lights, out goes everything. I'm sat in the dark in a chair with a low chair with a very bad knee with a 30-pound metal hunking. I've got to figure out how to get out of in the dark. It's not me plus phone plus some very unhealthy looking movement was was necessary. Okay. It's fine. It's all fine. So we log in with Twitch. Yeah. Oh, this is working. 30-pound hunk of metal in front of me. Sorry. Yes. I was trying to describe the wheel plus the yeah. I get it. Okay, so that does work for the most part. So now how do I update that deployment? Does it tell me how to do that? So you think it'll just detect changes? Analyzing Aspire application. Okay, I get it. Yes. Initialize bicep provider. No. I don't think it's going to go any better, but we'll find out. I would just make app host changes, then run AZD, or it eventually made it all the way. Let's find out. See if it picked anything different. You did say metal. Okay. So you heard what you wanted to hear, basically, because it was funnier. Yeah, that was not the good situation to be in. So again, I think I'm going to have to invest in a better rig, because I need something that's going to be able to be gotten in and out of easier. So the seat, the way the seat works is it's got I think you've got the same seat, the play seat, right? It's got the metal like the like meshed gears, and you tighten them with bolts, right? Any higher setting which would allow me to sit more comfortable with the wheel, I'm too heavy for, and it will pull the teeth apart and just drop to the bottom. So I could be sat there thinking I'm fine, and all of a sudden the seat goes and I'm it's working now. It deploys the Streamer API.
Now it's deploying the service web. This will be interesting. So that was it. It was go in there and change it. Even though I changed it all there, this still triggered it. So yeah, I've got the Logitech Playseat Challenge X seat, and it was good for the Logitech wheel. Like, it's not heavy, but the weight of this one is very different. So yeah, but I'm gonna get this little mini PC sorted out after stream today. Get that installed, and we're gonna try and get a stream up tomorrow. So I'm gonna spend my afternoon cleaning and organizing, and we'll see if we can get a get a racing stream up and going. Well, I say racing. It's more rallycross / wall crashing. Your up workflow to provision and deploy to Azure completed in 2 minutes 40 seconds. Dukesoft, hello. How you doing? Welcome in. I'm getting the urge to stream again. Find a project, start building it, get comfortable with building it, and then start streaming it. Or do the Liquid Sky UI stuff and stream that because you're comfortable with that one. I have no issue with you streaming Liquid Sky stuff. If you want to stream building a UI, because that's tinkering. Or do your electronics. Streaming's fun. Okay, so I'm going to risk showing this on stream. What's the plugin to hide all the subscription stuff in? I'm using DuckDuckGo. I can't plug in that. There's a plugin to hide all the if you find a project that you can be comfortable working in without worrying about what people are doing, like, people will join and hang out and chat, and you won't be able to get in your own head then. He says he's doing something on stream that he's not comfortable with. What am I looking for? How do I protect showing Azure port? Isn't there actually a setting in Azure Portal for hiding stuff? No. Yeah, that's the key. I just delete the resource group. What? Huh? What? I just went through the effort of getting the resource group up. What do you mean you delete it? You mean after I've shown it? There's a way of doing it though, isn't there? I thought there was a way of hiding it. Don't worry about it on stream. Get it working, delete it later, and rerunning it. So, I mean, the subscription ID is the only thing you can see, and I don't think you can do very much with that. So, activation failed. Historical.
So it's clearly not up and running, right? Apparently the Aspire dashboard's up as well. Good. I have to sign into it. No. Okay. Couldn't authenticate. There used to be a Chrome plugin. Not sure if that's still working. I also thought I built something like that. He built it for Visual Studio for hiding the secrets and stuff. Or did he build one for did he build a yeah. Wheel plugging Azure Mask, that's the one. But it's one of those yeah. But it's one of those, I think it's one where it won't let you install it anymore. Yeah. Clarkio. It was Clarkio that did it, yeah. Cloud Mask. There's a new one created by MS. Azure Mask. I'm just going to find it on Play Store or on Google Chrome plugins. Yeah. But that one you can't install it through Add to Chrome anymore. You have to go and download it and do that, right? So I'm just trying to see if there's a Easy Mask is still there. This extension is no longer available because it doesn't follow best practices for Chrome extensions. Yeah. There's a new one created by MS. I'm just trying to, yeah. No. Well, I mean, it's showing my subscription ID. This log is not showing. So how do I do this? Yes, you can stop it. And then if we go to start, no, you're not running, are you? This one should be stopped. Why aren't you stopped? Okay. So I can't, it gives me the link to the dashboard, but it won't let me use the dashboard. There's no containers registered. Cloud Cloak. Gotcha. That's the one, is it? It's the same thing as Clarkio's, right? Hi, Luke. You come and lie down now? Yeah. It's the same thing. You gotta download it. Navigate to the browser's extensions page. Probably not. No. No. Because again, I've had it working, right? So how do I know what to do when I deploy it? Enable developer mode. Load unpacked. So this is the exact same steps that Clarkio's plugin goes through. So if where did that go then? Oh, because it wants the folder. Okay. Because why would it take a zip file? You need the HTTP, otherwise it won't be accessible externally. Right. So, okay. Okay, let me close out of that one. Go to get a code to sign in. So Taylor is a little thief. The dog Taylor. And she has had the back door open for the last hour and a half. So when I finish the stream, I highly expect to go outside and find all the stuff that she's taken out of the house to chew. So this is going to be fun. Okay, so hide URLs, emails, phone numbers, IP addresses, domains, GUIDs, and secrets. Let's see. So Postgre, got it. There we go. Okay, that's healthier. I had to refresh, so it was turned off by default. I refreshed it. Okay, so let's go back and make those changes. So how would I know that? How would I know to do that when it doesn't prompt me to do that as part of the development piece? With external HTTP endpoints? So the web, that, and the API are all going to have external HTTP endpoints, right? That one isn't. That's an internal API. So that can be referenced internally. Hey, look. So now let's do AZDO. Yeah, so the Streamer API and the website definitely need access. So let's see how that goes. This makes me feel more comfortable hiding. So I've set it to so you get to set secrets, GUIDs, domains, IP addresses, emails, phone numbers, and URLs. So it will hide all that apparently. Yeah, it will hide all that. We'll see. Yeah, so there's two APIs, right? So there's an intent. This API is internal, so the website uses that one, or the website can use that one, but yes, the website can use that one. This one is going to be a public API because that's what I want you as a streamer to be able to use to query. Oh, is this person in developers.stream? So you can take the Twitch name. If you're on YouTube, you can take the YouTube name, and it'll find them that way. So let's see how this goes. But that still doesn't answer why the spy dashboard doesn't work. We'll find that out in a second once it's finished deploying. Oh, by the way, yesterday after stream, I did feel a little bad. I didn't shout him out. So, we were talking about programming and doing different things at the end of the stream, and I did mean to shout him out, but Trap streams not very frequently, but he does. He does stream when he can, and he streams library and support development. He does 3DO stuff, etc. And he has vast amount of knowledge, and it's a fascinating stream to go and hang out in, and he's always engaging, always happy to answer questions and talk about stuff like that. And I highly recommend going and check out his stream when he's up there. I meant to shout out yesterday, and I got lost in the conversation of different languages and the potential to do different things. And then he ended with, "You should try some console development." I'm like, ugh. So, okay, so that did say it came back up. No, still can't authenticate the user. So my dashboard's still not there. RG prod. So if we go to the apps environment, we see apps here. We have 5 apps. Now, this one should be finishing, and it's not finishing. That's a bad sign. Activity log. Nice. This is making me feel much more comfortable, by the way, the fact that it's blurred out a lot of information on screen. Not that I can't share anything, randomly. Logs. Welcome to logs. Not now. Oh. Oh, my work motivation left me about an hour ago. Still got an hour until I start mine. and my motivation's gone. What's about that? Actually, I'm actually trying to figure out a challenging thing with my work stuff in that I'm trying to figure out how to take a what's an Azure equivalent. I say I'm not doing cloud stuff, and I'm trying to do cloud stuff at work. I'm trying to take a durable function basically and execute something remotely, but then pause at that point until a callback happens from the application to say, yep, move on, or a timeout happens. And I don't know how to do the timeout piece in parallel. But yeah, I'm trying to learn how to do that. And it looks like I'm going to have to use queues to do it. So this isn't telling me very much. Oh dear. Let me go and look at container apps. So that app should essentially come down immediately. Historical. Create container migration. Container migration was terminated. Scale object doesn't have correct trigger specification. I'm quite sure I follow. This fix worked for me. Visit your container app overview page. Go to revisions and replicas. See, this is the dangerous thing, right? I don't know what I'm doing. And if I enable something thinking I'm doing something good, I could actually ramp up cost and not have any. So I've got to go after stream. I've got to go and make sure I have. Is that a question? After stream, I'm going to make sure I have some sort of notifications and whatnot. And spending limits if I can. What are you trying to do? Deploy an application. So the migration service is continuing to run. The Postgre system is saying it's running, but it's saying in the logs it's not running. Nope, container is looping. It's rebooting itself. So that's in bad shape. Scale object doesn't have correct triggers. It's basically a continued reboot. There you go. Activation failed. So that's not starting. API and stuff should be failing as well because these will be in a similar place. Oh, because that's logs for everything. Okay, so monitoring is for the entire thing. It doesn't matter. But either way, migration and Postgre are just looping. I mean, everything depends on Postgre, so I assume yes. And that doesn't run. No. Okay. So I'd be lying if I said that I thought this stream would go anywhere different. I'm actually surprised I got to this point, if I'm honest. But this is another problem, right? Where do I go from here? How do I learn what I'm missing? I don't know what I don't know, and there's a lot I don't know. The dashboard thing is a settings button. I mean, the dashboard's not gonna really help me, even if I get into it, right? So, but that's all that is. That's not telling me who can access it. Just saying it's enabled, and I'll leave it enabled, but so I don't have access to the dashboard. I don't have access. The Postgres is rebooting itself. Migration is not working because it's stuck behind Postgre. Yeah. But again, what I wanted to do is, again, from a deployment perspective, I don't even want this here. I want these to be communicating with a Postgres server in Neon, right? So how do I do that? How, should I focus on that? Should I focus on getting this deployment up and running? I figured that the best option was to just hit run and go with it that way. But what does that look like? Did you set the logs of the migration container? Well, they all look the same. It's the same log. Started, created, scale object doesn't have triggers, reboot, start again. And it's just constantly in that loop. So the migration container requires Postgre to be running, so the migration container is going to be failing. But yeah, I didn't select any auth enter setting. But again, it's like, I don't know what I don't know. So how do I learn that thing, right? Didn't ask me about any federation that I remember. No, because I didn't jump over any prompts. Hold on. Yeah, here you go. There you go. That's it. That's what I saw. Morning, Mars. How you doing? Migration container is migration service. Here, sorry, migration service. So the intention of that is it starts up, runs the migrations from the application against the Postgre database, and then ends. That's the intent. So it's in init container, I suppose, which is the thing, right? No mount folder. There's a data volume on the Postgre side, and I don't need PG Web, but it gets into the profiles thing if I start changing this for the deployment, right? But no mount folder on the API, on the migration service now. Well, so I suppose data volume would be mount, right? But I'm not mounting a path though. I'm not binding it to a local directory. In the Azure portal log streams, you can select instance of app. Oh, application migration. Ah. So hold on. Let me go back to Postgre because that's the one I'm worried about. If the migration service doesn't come up, that's fine. So that's crashing continually. What? Why is migrations? Operation not permitted. I wonder if I think the problem I have is, and I would imagine this is kind of common. I can do the development. I can build the software. I know how to work with the database locally. I know how to do all those things locally. I can build software. I'm not scared about the software thing. When I push it to the cloud, there's a feeling of immediacy. I need to get that working, and unfortunately, it's a rat's nest of problems that I could be creating worse problems for by going randomly find. It's the amount of times you have to be like, oh no, how do I fix this? How do I fix that? How do I fix this? How do I fix that? Right? Like you're jumping from problem to problem to problem, and you don't know if you've actually solved anything. So even documenting that process is a challenge. So I feel that this is just overwhelming. I had the same problem this week locally with Postgre migrations. Before doing migrations, I had to execute base ensure created. A database ensure created. Why did it determine that data was the problem there? So I had ensure created there initially, in the migration service. So seed data. What does it want there? Oh, it wants me to await any async. Ugh, some random formatting. But hold on. No, it'll be this one, won't it? Hold on. Let's make sure that I'm the. So I use data streaming when I'm using debug, but it won't be deploying as debug, will it? Okay, so that is fine. That's good. Well, actually, considering what I'm doing with the seeding now, that actually doesn't need to be. I should be seeding that information. Add pool DB context factory. So there's two databases. There's auth and developers upstream. And then in the worker, the execution strategy is to migrate async on the database, which does ensure created. We went through that a lot initially because we did have ensure created, and it actually caused more problems in terms of running it locally. Have you done something similar to this? Smoking? He's a dev without any confidence. Has super imposter syndrome. So yeah, the migrate async. I believe. I don't think it's going to let me go deeper there, get relational service iMigrate. But I believe that does do the ensure created, because we kind of went through that mess initially when we're building these services up. But that doesn't. Get applied migrations async. Well, that's part of the migration part, right? Gotcha. Exception while reading from stream. So I think that PostgreSQL is not healthy. Operation not permitted. PostgreSQL container. I get it. Oh, rambling. Like, you solved my problem. Sure. All right, but I mean, it looks like the migration is crashing because PostgreSQL won't come up. Well, what the heck? Azure container. Postgre and Azure Kubernetes volume permission error. That's close. So there is a data volume, right? Well, let me try something. Just for the education. I don't think that's going to do what I think it is, but let's learn. I'm not looking forward to the weekend, so I didn't use the pool yesterday because I was playing with my steering wheel. And then we're due to have thunderstorms today and then rain for the next 6 days, which will be fun. Yeah, I'm going to figure out. I'm going to install Linux on this little box after stream today, and I'm going to figure out if I can get OBS installed on that and use that because I've got USB streaming cards. I've got a few of them, and see if I can't figure out getting a Gran Turismo stream set up this weekend. I've got spare cameras and microphones and stuff, so that should be okay. Get the what's it called? One of the USB mic adapters in there. It's updating the application, so we're going to see. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to see if that changed behavior, because if we can do it with debug, then that is kind of an answer for local versus remote, right? I wanted to see what would happen.
Actually, if I was doing this properly, I'd try and get rid of that and figure out how to get connection strings different. Profiles. Because again, I don't want Postgre to be hosted in the app container. I want Postgre to be a separate service. And this is working to help educate me for Liquid Sky, right? So later on, when I look at what Liquid Sky deployment looks like, I want to have an idea of what I'm actually looking for in terms of costing it out and figuring those things out. Not that I'm jumping to Liquid Sky deployment anytime soon, publicly, but yeah. Not change permissions of directory. That's now. Operation not permitted. That's hilarious. It hides everything. It's a warning message. You can't see the warning message. No. Let me see if I turn off things, if it'll actually show me in real time. No, it doesn't. That's hilarious. That's exactly what I wanted. I don't want to. Don't want to risk showing stuff. But yeah, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just it's working well. Yeah, but you can't turn it on and off live. It won't. It won't show it if I do it live. I have to refresh the screen afterwards. So yeah. Scale rule 0. That's fine. I'm clicking around random stuff now. Oh. So this seems to be the problem. Operation not permitted. Now, ideally, what I do is, I mean, that doesn't matter anymore, right? That doesn't make a difference, whatever I do there. So ideally, I am able to say, you know, if you're deploying, don't use the Postgre pieces. That'll be provided for you. Well, locally, I want to develop with a local. I don't want to be using cloud resources every time I'm developing locally, right? And this is that developer experience challenge. How do you make that? How do you make it? And ultimately, that's what Aspire is trying to solve. I think is that allowing the developer to develop in an environment that is parallel, but similar to that of the deployed environment, so that they're facing issues and solving issues that would be solved that will occur in the production instance as well. And their development environment is not a million miles away from how it's actually working in production. That's oftentimes the problem. Everything works locally, but then you go to deploy it and there's all the new challenges of what that deployment looks like. So I'm a little stuck, right? Because I don't know how to get over that hump. But in the same, I'm like, well, do I want to spend a lot of the time doing that, or do I want to spend the time figuring out how do I deploy it and tell it, like, what's going to happen if I try configuring these files differently, right? What's going to happen if what I want to happen is these APIs and stuff are going to get different connection strings, right? So I assume there's a key secrets set up somewhere. So if I go to API, application properties,
Ingress. Okay, so outbound IP ingress enabled. Okay, so that's what they allow HTTP works. I'm not familiar enough with C# space, but I've always just incorporated containers into the general build process, and it's suspected that devs use the container image build for local testing. Morning, Trap. Yeah, and I think containerization is definitely I mean, you know, Liquid Sky, I'm using containers all over the place for all the things. Even this when this runs, everything starts up. The Postgre stuff that I'm using here is a container, right? And I can control that and parameterize that appropriately. So that my development environment is as close to the actual production. The only difference here is where that Postgre database is hosted at production time is different than when I'm doing it locally, which with these tools is useful if I'm deploying it all, but not useful if I want that to be separate, because again, I don't want to be hosting. I mean, maybe it's the way now, maybe that's how we do things, but I don't want to be hosting a Postgre database in a container app. It feels like that's not the right way to do this. But then again, that's what they're going towards. I don't know. Just feels somewhat incorrect. It's because I'm used to, again, like the cloud is not my realm, right? And maybe it's because I'm used to having a SQL server, you know, a you know, Redis cache server, and them all being independent of the application deployment. Maybe that's why that doesn't feel right. And I mean, everything's containerized now. Even if I'm using a cloud Postgre server, it's still going to be hosted in containers, right? So yeah, it's just some old ways of thinking being held on to me. But that's replicas. So I don't know what I don't know what I don't know. Could not change permissions of directory. This feels like the one thing that's holding it up. What do we do? At the end of the day, the container is just a package, so the fact that it's DB or not should be irrelevant. Yeah. Frank, thank you very much for coming hanging out today. I appreciate the assistance, appreciate the guidance. I'm sure I could not have got as far as I have without you. If you are not aware, Frank is also a streamer. If that's where he's going to start now, and we may be heading over there shortly. He's a cloud architect, so he this is his realm, and his stream is an awesome place to go and hang out. So yeah, this feels very much like the thing that's holding me back, but how do I, not if debug, how do I get over this hump? Changing permissions, operation not permitted. Opabita, hello, how are you doing? How's your Friday going? Well, I hope. Yeah. It's getting started. We'll see how it goes. Error occurs when running Postgre in a Docker container and is caused by permissions issues between the host system and the container. Common scenario is you're mounting a volume. Fix, make sure the directory is owned by Postgre user. Sudo chown. Using root to run the container, but Postgre expects non-root. Docker run rm Postgre. ID. If you're on a system with SE Linux, avoid overwriting the default. Chown. Well, that's not an option, is it? And how do I do it when the container's down? How to fix on Azure Container Apps. Strongly recommended for production. PostgreSQL is not ideal to run inside a container on ACA because ACA has limited support for running stateful apps like databases. You can't control low-level permissions. ACA storage is not designed for high IOPS workloads or persistent databases. Use Azure Database for Postgre. Okay, so there's an answer. The error is could not change permissions of directory. And when searching this, use Postgre with ephemeral storage, no volume. So it is because it has a volume mount. Is the likely outcome there? So infra Postgre volumes, yeah. So Frank did ask if there was a volume. There you go. It can't write that one. And the recommendation seems to be use ephemeral storage, which would not be ideal because if I bring it down, I'll lose everything. Oh, you think? Oh, okay. Errors are common. Container bridges often expect to run. Yeah, yeah. It looks like there is a difference in. Well, let's make sure everything's 931 release already. And you control the amount of storage which can use. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting though that it does say that ACA is not advised for Postgre, but we'll find out. If this brings up an Azure Postgre DB though, Mojo. Easiest thing to do is chmod 177 and chown root the top level directory man. Yeah. Yeah. Just nuke it. Add. There is no hold on. Is there an Azure? Aspire hosting Azure Postgre. Let's do it this way. We'll let it bring up an Azure database. If I look at the cost of this and it's okay, monitor, you get upset with that. Okay. So there is no add Azure Postgre specifically. But anyway, that is unfortunately where I have to call it for today. I do need to get on with stuff. Oh, I missed the ad break. Sorry if you're still behind an ad. This has been challenging. The challenge is the cost. I've got to keep an eye on that. I do not want the cost of this to run away from me. I do not want to be like hosting as a container for what this is. Probably is to the point. It's probably acceptable. Now, as for how to do the chmod, I'm not even sure how I do that, being that the container's not running. It's restarting in a boot loop, so I can't change anything on that permission. maybe I can do something here. Mount options. I don't know what this would mean. I can't change any permissions there. Since our PostgreSQL is just a direct publisher, but yeah. So I don't know what that means for what this is. I can't change the permissions because it's in a boot loop. It's also Azure storage, so maybe the only real way of getting this working is to use the Azure Postgre. That was not cheap from what I saw. So okay, ads are finished. So you know, it's just getting over this one. I think once the Azure database for Postgre. Yeah, $130 a month is a little bit expensive. That's the cheapest one. Oh no, hold on. We can lower that somewhat. What is that? I remember when this just used to be nice and easy. Is that even changing very much? Yes, it is changing very much. But either way, I won't. Oh no, 58 cents a month. Oh yeah, because there's nothing there. Awesome. Yeah, and that's 730 hours. So, yeah, so this is where I think profiles are necessary. Like, I want to be able to configure this where I can provide some credentials for a hosted Postgres solution that isn't going to cost me $130 a month. I want to deploy developers.stream, but I am not willing to spend almost $200 a month running it at this point, because that is not paying anything back. There's no way I can afford to supplement that. I like eating and I like having a roof over my head. And I don't want to even think about any other monetary options for developers.stream, right? Because it's just not the point. The point is to support, not to do that. Yeah. My current working theory is to use is development. It might be that way. Yeah. But then how do we configure these, right? These things are challenges, right? But anyway, we're going to call it there. We are going to go and raid Mr. Basharos, I think. I know I saw him streaming. I will be back. Did his stream come down as quickly as it went up? I saw him streaming. Oh no, there he is. There he is. Okay. So I will be back on Monday. I will do some research. I am also trying to figure out deployment of Liquid Sky. I would like to finish up what I started with the modular monolith thing. I think that was actually kind of useful. Also, it seemed very popular on YouTube. So yeah. But yeah, for anyone who hasn't been in the stream before, there is a Discord linked in the cards below. You're more than welcome to join in the Discord. If you want to continue any conversations or you want to ask any questions, you're more than welcome. Do not forget, it is Friday, which means it is a One Lion stream day, which is a community day. Hopefully I'm going to get to hang out today and ask some questions on AI. More particularly using it for documentation and building of code that is heavy. Then Saturday, Sunday, what? But I will be back, and hopefully over the weekend you'll see TBD developer go up for streaming, and I'll get some racing in. But for now, we're going to raid Frank. One Lion, thank you very much for all your support. Thank you everybody for all your support. I appreciate you coming hanging out with me. I love starting my day this way, believe it or not. It's the most productive I am all day some days. So I will catch you all later. So let's go raid Frank. Thank you all. Take care. Have a great weekend. See you again. Bye all.